I'm Malcolm Stevens, and I'm the UK Commissioner for the International Juvenile Justice Observatory in Brussels, and I'm also a Director of the Diagrama Foundation in the United Kingdom. The question of children in custody causes great controversy in this country and in most countries in Europe and elsewhere in the world. In England and Wales we have about 2,200 children, that's children under the age of 18, in custody. At the moment there is a debate within our government in the United Kingdom because those establishments are very expensive. And the position is that it's not necessarily just the cost, it is the fact that 75% or more of the children who go to those places, despite the cost, reoffend within a year. So this government in the United Kingdom now in 2011 has put its cards on the table and say what we're looking for is a rehabilitation revolution. We want to look at ways of doing this differently and better.
I'm Sir Al Aynsley-Green. I've spent 40 years of my life working with children and young people as a children's doctor in government and most recently as the first Children's Commissioner for England. I travelled to Spain for 3 days to visit institutions run by Diagrama and above all to listen to staff and to the children and young people themselves. The four most important aspects that I saw were first of all the philosophy, which is based entirely on the education of the young people and their reintegration into society. Secondly, the staff, who were outstanding in their professionalism. Everyone was a graduate, they were not prison officers, they were educators. And their commitment shone through, as did their extraordinarily warm relationships with the young people themselves. The third thing I saw was the ambience in the institutions. It was tranquility, there was humour, above all there were opportunities for sport and for exercise. The atmosphere was quite unlike anything I have seen in most UK institutions. The fourth aspect were the outstanding young people themselves. I spoke with many of them, I shared meals with them, went on their work placements with them, and heard repeatedly how they had an expectation in their lives. There was a sense of purpose. Through purposeful activities they were engaged in, there was a sense of hope. Every one of them I spoke to saw their time as a punishment. They didn't see it as a holiday camp. They told us of the journey of travel where they started on entry with very basic facilities. They earned privileges, leading eventually, if they achieved those privileges, to going out into the community and getting skills, training and experience that was relevant to them and being reintegrated into society. So, four aspects that were really quite outstanding in my view. Do they work? Yes, I think they do work. The statistics show that around 20% of the young people reoffend, in comparison to 80% or so in the UK. There are aspects that can't be translated from Spain to England, not least the culture of how children and young people are seen in Spanish society, which is very, very different to in England. The warmth, the physical contact between the young people and the staff was quite extraordinary. They have a very different legal system, and so these things cannot be translated directly into the UK. But I do argue that the philosophy focusing on education, reintegration and community relevance can be moved over to us. And secondly, the crucial importance of having a thoroughly professional workforce that is trained to understand young people and to commit themselves to their best interests. Those can be translated, coupled with, I think, the ambience of tranquility, of humour, access to sport, and so on, all of which decreases the tension and the aggravation which is so prevalent in so many UK institutions.
I'm Jim Rose, and I've spent the last 35 years working with children and young people in different settings, including secure accommodation, which I've also been the manager of. Spent a fascinating 3 days looking at 2 centres owned and managed by Diagrama, and in particular I think I would look at the staffing arrangements in both centres. The staff seemed actually to really like the young people. They seemed to want to be with them, and we saw them in different settings, in recreational settings, in the classroom, in the living units. We had meals with the young people and the staff, and the whole atmosphere was really quite different. It was more relaxed, but it was also very purposeful. There wasn't a sense of people just being around the young people. The staff were very actively engaged. I think in the resettlement programme they worked very much with what I think we would call a sequential treatment model. So that young people would start at quite a basic level, and then through a programme of incentives and reward would be able to move into better accommodations. But more importantly, their programme enabled them at quite an early stage in their sentencing to go out of the centre and go to local educational or work opportunities.
The experience was fascinating, thought-provoking, and I saw much that was excellent.
There was a much closer working together of inside and outside services and opportunities really for young people.
What we see in the establishments run by the Diagrama Foundation makes such a great deal of sense that we're duty bound to have a look at it and consider, will that work in the United Kingdom? Well, I think it will.
An ambience which generates a feeling of expectation, hope and purpose for the future. These are things that we can learn about and we can translate them here.